Good morning, everybody. Well, yesterday was kind of a choppy, quiet day. There were a few moments of excitement. There was a little selling and move up and back and forth, but overall was this lowing momentum kind of a day on the daily chart. So interest rates have been what's moving the market, and they were up yesterday. Didn't do much, at certain points as it moved up, market came down and whatever, but everything's pretty much a non-event. So they're gapping down this morning, and the markets have recovered a little bit. Overall, they're really not doing much of anything. Um, Hello, Sebastian. Long time. Haven't seen you guys. You around? How you doing, buddy? Um, so interest rates down help should be helpful. Um, However, the dollar is finding some strength here. You see these little dots up here gapping way up above these two bars where it had gapped down to the rising 50 MA and these pivots. So opposing forces, if the dollar and interest rates going in the same direction up, puts downward pressure on equities and vice versa. So looking at that as a neutralizing situation as far as one going one way and one going the other. Now, I'm not sure why the dollar is gapping up like that. Probably some economic whatever going on, but it makes me think to look at the 13-week interest rates. And as you can see, they're up a bit after falling quite a bit last week. So currencies and short-term interest rates, they're tied together. What is a government's short-term interest rate has an effect on the price of its currency. And you can see as this was going up, the dollar's been strong. So it's one of the things to look at when you're looking at a currency and trying to decide what it might do. And so as we look at that, and if you're a currency trader, and I'm not talking about Forex, but better to trade the futures, you can see, the initially, this was when the dollar came down, the pound came up and it's backing off a little bit. The euro looks like it may have bottomed. You look to the left, it's on this pivot there, and that popped up wide range bar on the weekly chart, and it's just consolidating in the upper part so far. Canada, pop up, it's coming down, still in a downtrend, but notice it's at support here. So you see all these currencies at support and turning around. It makes sense why the dollar was stalled up there. Now it came down. Now, Australian dollar, coming down pretty darn hard. This is typically tied to what's happening with commodities. I haven't looked at that, but that is associated with the Australian dollar. And the yen, what a move. Right? Big collapse into this support, and that popped up and now it's coming back down again. So everything in alignment made for this dollar to continue to show some strength. So we'll be keeping an eye on that today. Yeah, right now, oil, Canada, oil, and Australia metals, coal. So commodities. And so it is showing the correlation. It's not always the same between all currencies, but with the dollar up like that, if it continues to go up, that may put a little bit more pressure on equities. We'll have to see. And if the 10-year, if that begins, and you can not moving up very much, or you can just look at TBT, which the charts are usually a little more clear. That's gap down there. It's down. So kind of at a spot where it's likely to chop around a bit. But for intraday, we'll want to keep an eye to see if TBT starts to rise and the dollar rises or stays where it is, because that should put, as it has been in the past, pressure on equities. And you can see futures are down a little bit, but essentially going absolutely nowhere. That's why I say the momentum has completely stalled. You see small candle bodies after that run up. And this little chop that's been going on has created some support. So looking at that on the hourly chart, and we got pivot highs and we've got pivot lows. It's in the middle of the range. It says, flip a coin which way this is going to go for now, but watching interest rates and the dollar may give us some insight as to whether this might be able to get above those highs or get below the lows. And while it may seem, I don't know about the word obvious, but more likely that it would go down because of the run up, I wouldn't count on that because sometimes what's extended could get more extended, and this could run up into this resistance here around this pivot high. So a lot of chop going on, here, and better to trade other things unless you're nimble intraday, and you can certainly trade the futures at the appropriate time. Hold on a second. All right. So NASDAQ with a little strength, and you saw the strength. Well, NVIDIA gave it back up and filled the gap, but Apple was strong yesterday. It was interesting. Microsoft was strong, and then it gave it all back, and then it came back at the end of the day. So institutions are still buying the dips on, big tech and the fangs. And so this is not going to drop in a big way unless we see those big leaders, those stocks begin to come in, and they're not yet. And so this could possibly come up into the area of this pivot high as well. So again, if this could break out and you're trading, the Qs, T triple Q, NQ, the long side, even though this is up a lot from an intraday point of view, certainly makes sense. If it breaks below these lows, common sense, it should start going down. This congestion area becomes resistance, and this should come down to support. Now, the longer this goes sideways, and let's just assume that today doesn't do much of anything, the more it goes sideways, the greater the size of the intraday consolidation, obviously. So if it breaks lower, and of course, then we start to look at, support levels below. But one of the concepts that we teach and review is that the longer the base, especially after a run like this, what's going on here? First of all, bullish, right? A lot of buying. So far, still bullish. They're buying even though it's extended. And the longer it goes sideways here, if it breaks the lows, longs now see that buying this very shallow retracement isn't working. Supply increases, and it'll stop here, but it opens up the door to moving lower. Right now, we're in waiting mode as far as the broader markets go. Those spiders, and you know what? I was doing a few things this morning. I'm going to look at premium in these SPX options. What's going on here with TC? All right, so this is doing nothing. As you can see, it's an inside bar, so nothing there. There's unfilled gaps below. There's resistance up there. Same story with intraday, and hold on. All right, upside looks like 43.95. Let's see where that is. So it lowered it down. Okay. And so we still got this pivot up there. And, these were yesterday's, and you see nothing even came close yesterday. Not even close to touching. And 43.20, 43.25. Well, 43.20 is where it was yesterday. 43.25, 95 by $1. That's, enticing. There's an unfilled gap here, 43.20, I think, would be a no-brainer, and probably the upside is a no-brainer. This thing is just not moving, and I don't really see what is going to make it move today. As far as news goes, you got some Fed people speaking at 9:15, 9:50, 10 o'clock. I don't think they're going to say anything different. Another guy at 12 o'clock. And so I don't think there's any intraday news. We could get surprised by something, of course, but for the moment, what we see posted is just nothing there. So I think either way, do a condor. It's far enough away. All right. Gold dropping back, after a big run up. And, when I look at this chart, it makes me think, well, looks like the broader markets, in a sense, the broader markets went up even stronger than this. But this could be what we're in for, meaning, some choppy stuff and something to look for, whether you're a swing trader or a day trader. After a run like this, getting a pop up and immediately coming in with these topping tail bars, that's a great setup to sell short and looking for some kind of a pullback. And silver, there's a lot of chopping around there, but overall it's holding up decently after that run up, especially being at resistance. And one of the things that we're looking for right in our ETF letter is, and this is moving down now, gapping down, but this downside shakeout. And you might see this and think, it's easy to look at it and the thought of a head and shoulders top. And I guess it really could be. It's got this neckline there, but I call it a shakeout because of how far it fell here. Most head and shoulders bottoms, the head doesn't go that far down. In any event, look, it went down hard, it came up hard. So it rejected this move. It was an exaggerated move, but now, the question is, can it get above here? And if it does, that suggests a move up. So that is something we're waiting to see what actually happens there. The Dow.
An alert target has been reached.
Okay, so let's see what that is. The Dow just chopping around here at resistance. So, it's the same thing. Right now it looks like we're in for some choppy price action. We'll keep an eye on interest rates and the dollar to see if they give a heads up as to where things might go. The transport's not quite at that ultimate, let's call ultimate resistance area. It's, that minor if that pivot is. So look, the move up last week was powerful. Buyers historically are unlikely to throw in the towel too quickly until it becomes obvious, that sellers are taking control, and that's not happening yet. So keep the door open and the mind open as to the possibility that, prices could go higher, even though it's, not a lot higher, but, going a bit higher here might seem illogical after such a run, but it's happened before. To you, Dan.
Good morning. And another thing kind of to keep in mind in terms of using the gamma gun situation to help our analysis. And what I mean by that is, gamma hedging by funds, market makers. So at the low, it was negative gamma, which means that market makers have to buy as it's going higher. They have to chase it. And so now they're negative gamma. Now they're positive gamma, which means as it goes higher, they have to fade it. They have to short. And when it goes down, they have to buy to maintain their delta neutral. And So, that's good information, and that just kind of supports the scenario of we're not going to go down a lot. There's a big open interest here at 4,400, and if we get through that, and that could cause, big old additional sucking in the longs and the shorts.
Yeah,
But
the interesting thing to add to that is that 4,400 is that there's almost an equal amount of put options of open interest at the same level. So it would be, let's say, a standoff, right? A standoff where there may be a lot of whipping back and forth there. It would take some, of a battle to see who's going to win at that point.
mm-hmm. We got cues here as we're talking, going through the high here. So yeah, we still got to stay bullish. It makes it difficult to get on. Well, I just plainly won't buy a swing pattern that looks like this, but we have plenty of other patterns that are bullish that we will trade. Yeah, let's get to earnings here. Amar on YouTube asking about riots. It's at top of the range. It needs to chop around and go sideways, but it's a big old bottoming pattern. Nothing to do right now. Pelletieri's asking about. It's just up a lot. I don't think the reward to risk is there for a swing. Even day trade, I don't think it's a big target. We have two. We have a bear call credit spread, and then in the weekly options trader, I just adjusted the stop to over this closing pivot. We also have Zulu Sierra, had an up alarm here, like up alarm at 166. We're short 155 puts for Friday. Now let's go to earnings now. Yeah, they're on the list in here. Wait, where am I? Right here. I went through a ton of these already and deleted them. Snow versus D-Dog. Snow 155. That would be a nice put spread under yesterday's low. D-Dog, I know had earnings. The gap's too big. Rocco, what do you want me to do with that? Gap's too big. But yeah, snow I like. Is this just going up in sympathy is all? Snow? Because I don't think it's earnings, but that's a nice gap over a red bar. All right, hymns. All right, thanks, Brent. All right, so hymns I kept on the list. It's a big gap up. Tomorrow, MT Live, we're talking about shock patterns. This is a beautiful pattern. Look, it's gapping right to yesterday's high from a bottoming pattern. So that I'm going to put that in the window. AYX 3650. The gap's too big, but put spread if there's any juice. Trip. That's a big old gap. Man, that's gapping into the 200. I didn't do a single earnings trade last night. I just didn't, went through the checklist, didn't like the pattern spreads, premium, etc. But that's a big old gap. NXPI. Now this is a sell setup, gapping down. 30-minute low. That looks great for a short or long puts, short call spread. Putting that in a window. And Golf Tango. And this was one I said yesterday in the green room as we were reviewing earnings. That this is a beautiful 1, 2, 3. If it opened flat, it's opening. Let's watch it on a pullback. That's a big bottoming pattern. You got two downside shakeouts. You had a closing breakout. I think he'll get through this one, no problem. Mature, same kind of thing. It was up here. If it's a gap over a red bar, has room to like 260. Golf Hotel, I can't tell where you're opening. Well, I have one print here, only up a penny. But I like the weekly as a W bottom, new low plus. We'll come back to Golf Hotel. Rover. No pattern. I don't like the way you trade. Rover, you're gone. Fang opening flat. I know I still like this a lot. If it can get today's Tuesday, if it can get over Monday's high, I'm going to set an alarm here. 162.40. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern. No ring. I've been watching this as a potential bottoming pattern. You know, not attentively, but for months to see if anything would come out of this coma here after $450. Still no pattern here. We'll come back to it. TDW gapping down. That's a call spread idea over yesterday's high. S wave. This I said would, if it opened flat or up a little bit, yesterday's high would have been a beautiful breakout of a bottoming pattern. Now it's getting whacked, so now it looks like a call spread candidate. Another bottoming pattern, but at resistance. Uber. The things that run this much into earnings, I just flatly have, you know, a fading bias. So it's gapping down a little bit. 30-minute, it's a powerful move, but 30-minute low, particularly since earnings were announced, could be a call spread idea. UBS, the ADR, gapping to $25. Put spread if there's any juice. APD getting whacked. Wow, it's an ugly gap. We'll come back. Nothing to do now. EMR. This was one I said if it opened flat, short yesterday's low as a sell setup. It's an excessive gap down. Nothing to do with it. D-Dog we talked about. CBH. Nothing yet. We'll come back to these. This was one I said if it opened flat, short the low. But it looks like I see some prints here at 102, which is a nasty gap. We'll come back to you. Gen 18. That's a bullish gap. I like the 1, 2, 3 on the weekly. That has room to the, I'd say the 200 MA. Let's watch that on a pullback. I have it here in the middle chart. The plant gap's too big, but bullish as can be. Gap. Clovit 709. Now it is a bullish gap, but compared to some of those others that I said were bottoming patterns and had room to go, this still has a wall of resistance in this multi-month trading range, so no interest in you. Milko 9.25. It's potential bottoming pattern. You got a little W bottom retest here. Just not sure what the target would be. You know, we can find better. Pergo. This is one I said if it opened flat, short yesterday's low. Beautiful sell setup. Gap down is too big. So there you have it. Those are my comments on the gap on the earnings that I've already reduced. See what else we got on the watch list. OMC from yesterday. We're watching a pullback into the gap as a gap breakout from a bottoming pattern. Pizza. Beautiful end of day, well, a day and a half. Incredible base. So as a new trade, this is the, you know, again, tomorrow, shock patterns. This is a beautiful 180 reversal after breakdown failure with a void in a bullish 15-minute chart. So that looks fantastic as a day trade over yesterday's high. Let's give it 5-10 minutes in the green room. But so this is a prime example of I ain't trading the broader markets that are up 5 bars in a row. This is a new setup. That's beautiful. Beautiful. You know, we talk MT Live, we've been doing them for over 5 years. And so we've pretty much covered so many topics. And this would be in this could be in so many manuals, not manuals, in the sessions. It'd be a bottoming pattern. It's a 180 reversal breakout. It's shock patterns. It's trend change. So many concepts here. Let's see, let's go up now. Let's see what's left on my watch list. HLIP we got into yesterday. That's another beautiful example of a new pattern versus the straight up broader markets. We bought call options on it yesterday. Mixie, why am I looking at you? I was looking at you as a little Climo here at the low. So these are old Suave. I love the monthly chart breakout. Daily, weekly are still just slopping around, a mess. Redfin, watching a pullback, a bottoming pattern, Pete time, retrace too deep, JB Hunt under yesterday's lows, a short idea, target. We were trying to sell puts, didn't get filled. Zulu Sierra, we're in. XLE was a 1, 2, 3 yesterday, and then gave it up. Look at oil down now. I think I saw something on the screen that oil was like the weakest sector this year. Technology the strongest. Riot we talked about. Citra was also a 1, 2, 3 yesterday, but earnings got in the way. PXD. Same. So see, these oils are not having follow through with the sectors falling. BGC over the highs looks good. Greg, remember the Mo I asked you about over the weekend? I just am seeing this now. That was a nice. Well, here's another MT live. Well, a couple of them. 20 above parallel 50, gap negated on earnings, bullish turn at the 50, red bar ignored, and price void. Look how many concepts I just threw out there. So that looks higher, but we missed our entry. These oils, the oil's going lower, so I got no interest. And Clorox was a nice gap on earnings. Climo weekly has room to go. Now it has this gap fill I'm not crazy about, but that's a puts red idea. A Sting was a potential breakout, but here ABBV. Oh, wow, our Zulu Sierra is flying here. ABBV is a short idea. We have that posted as a call spread under the trigger. All right, cat, let's close half.
Nice gap down in cat, Dan.
Yeah, I already posted it pre-market. This Mitter alarm. Mitter there, let's see, red bar ignored. Let's give it 5 minutes on Mitter. But that's a nice little shock. All right, Zulu Sierra here. We might be looking to take our money here into strength. The Zulu Sierra 155 Friday. Yeah, let's close Zulu Sierra. We got a beautiful gain here.